Welcome back, all. We are about to hop into our first adventure of the evening, which I have entitled Beneath the Drifts. But as always, before we do so, we are going to take a moment and introduce our characters. So, without further ado, let's just hop right into it. First, we have Greenie, the Grung Paladin. Greenie, welcome back.
Huh.
Greenie, would you care to remind us all a little bit about who you are and kind of what brings you to the land of D&D?
I mean, I own a tenement building, so I'm a landlord.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I intend to conquer everything.
That is an ambitious goal, Greenie. Have you been making any progress in that regard as you've been
Well,
adventuring around here?
things really slowed down when I lost my poison glands. Um, so now I'm just, getting into the swing of things. And now I enslave through fear.
Really?
Mm.
So you just intimidate people. Is it harder? I mean, I guess it's harder to intimidate without those poison glands. That's probably one of the main kind of threatening things about you,
Well,
isn't it?
yeah, I mean, you break people's minds by making them do repetitive action through poison.
This is this is a very terrifying plan that you have, Greenie.
But now I have to do the exact same thing, but only with fear, which takes longer.
Yes, yes. Um,
Hmm.
and what is your how do you intimidate people? Like now that you don't have this weapon at your disposal, what do you do to scare people? Is
Oh,
it different for
magic.
everyone? Oh, okay, of course.
Yeah, I learned how to do like pollen stuff.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
guess it's very easy to scare people when you can just like magically make them afraid.
yeah.
Okay, well, great, Greenie.
Sometimes I have to strap them into a chair and make them watch horrifying images, but otherwise I just use paladin magic.
Oh, well, excellent. I hope that that works out for you today. Although your adventure today is a bit more mundane, so it might just take fear might not be the path, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Welcome, yeah, welcome back, Greenie.
Nice.
Next up, we have a brand new adventurer here in the land of D&D time. We have, and I'm sorry if I pronounced this incorrectly, we have Vadania Melianme. Did I say that correct?
Yes, it's Lady
Uh, La-
Vadania Melianme.
Lady Vadania. Um, Lady Vadania, would you care to tell us a little bit about yourself? Kind of who you are, what brings you here to the land of D&D time?
Of course. Well, I hail from Central City.
Oh,
I was a soldier there for quite a long time, but I found it a little bit boring.
it can
So
be a dull
I
life.
made my I made my way towards seeking adventure, and eventually found myself in the Feywild, where I
Oh.
met my wonderful husband, Lord Cassius of the Moonbrush.
Lord Cassius of the Moonbrush. Now, you said you met your husband in the Feywilds. Is it safe for me to assume that your husband is of the Fey himself?
Oh yes, he is the most powerful archfey in all of the Feywild.
Oh dear, this is an intimidating figure. Now, has your husband bestowed any of this strength unto you? Um,
Well, upon Bartholomew's request for my assistance, my husband decided that I should come better prepared, and so he was willing to lend me some of his arcane might.
yes, well, you never know what type of tasks you're going to be up for. A lot of it, you're guaranteed the safety by Bartholomew's ability to resurrect the dead, seemingly at ease. But it's still better to be able to protect yourself as good as possible. Um,
Of course.
well, Vidania, Lady Vidania, my apologies. I welcome you, and I look forward to seeing you adventure today. Best of luck out in the fields.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have a another brand new character here, but a familiar player. We have Noblesse Oblige. Noblesse, welcome.
It is good to be here.
Noblesse, please regale us. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here in the land of D&D time.
Well, I am a Phoelarch uh, who believes in the idea of my namesake, Noblesse Oblige. I,
Yes,
I,
yes.
I chose the name for myself honestly. Uh, Unlike most Phoelarch, normally when Phoelarch die, most burst into flame. And I, working with and setting up with Bartholomew, I had him fix this issue so that I don't, well, turn to ash upon death.
Yes, that would have been a little bit inconvenient for the resurrection process, I would imagine, if you come into too much danger. But Noblesse, I actually know very little about. I believe you used the word Phoelarch. Could you
Yes.
tell us a bit about your people
Or,
and what it means to be a Phoelarch?
well, we don't really have a homeland per se. We
Mhm.
tend to be wanderers by nature. Uh, so I can't really tell you what other Phoelarch are like, just more about myself more than anything else.
Mhm. And obviously, I can see you plain as day. But for those who can't, what is your appearance? What does a Phoelarch look like?
Well, w- po- well, technically, I just realized I've been mispronouncing it's Phoelarch, but
Oh,
we
Phoelarch. My
are,
apologies.
yes, it's my fault. But Phoelarch are, well, we're humanoids, but one could say we have been blessed with the aspect of the phoenix, hence why we burst into flame upon death. Where
Ah,
and what is typically left behind is an egg that hatches into a Thera, which you could imagine is a lesser phoenix, sort of.
ah, very well. Well, Noblesse, I look forward to seeing what you can do here amongst the adventurers of Bartholomew's shop. I wish you best of luck. And without further ado, last but not least, we have returning uh, Tzi'jixk. Tzi'jixk, welcome.
It's good to be back. It's good to see you all.
It's good to see you too.
Oh, uh,
Uh, Maddie, you appear to be cutting out just a little bit.
I have a concern.
What is your concern, Tzi'jixk?
That voice. It's the one, not Bartholomew's, not the man in blue, but the one that I was talking to when everything was dark. It's getting brighter and louder, and I feel like it's getting.
Um, you're saying it's getting closer. How so? What makes you? Why do you get this image? What do you think will happen when it quote unquote arrives?
Oh, I don't know. Something. A decision's gonna have to be made here. It might happen soon, but I just feel it's weird. Maybe my little bun senses. It's something in the whiskers, something that I feel with my ears. Except I'm feeling it with everything. My soul itself. Oh, can I get a hug, please?
CJX, I would be happy to give you a hug. Allow me to just lean down here off camera. And there it is. There, CJX. Um,
Thank you.
of course. And anytime you need a hug or just need to talk about this terrible problem you seem to be having, you know that I'm always here.
Oh, thank you. And oh, here's your things back too. I'm sorry.
No, CJX, again, you. This is unacceptable. Always just right out of my pocket. My wallet, my phone, everything. I suppose
But
you're not
can
supposed
you
to be
argue
looking
with
at things
something
like
that's been
phones.
touched by my cute little bun paws?
I can't stay mad at you, ZJX. Welcome back. It's good to have you again.
Thank you. It's good to be here, and I guess we'll see what happens together. I know I'm not alone anymore, or even not alone with my friend Zuzip.
Well, that is good. Let us, without further ado, begin. As you all know, most of your quests are prescribed to you by Bartholomew, but generally speaking, some of the quests that he assigns the lower tier of adventurers, the storied tier, sort of the fresher recruits here in the land of DnDTime, tend to be a little bit more drab. And when you looked at your first particular assignments, the first assignments for you, Vadania, and you, Noblesse, You were definitely a little bit disappointed with the lack of glamour to it. What you uh, what you saw was a request far up in the cold, cold north of the Big Rock Candy Mountains. And it appears that this particular request will require you to shovel snow. Where we begin officially, all of you are wearing snowshoes. You're walking farther and farther north towards a very thin line of smoke. Here in the Big Rock Candy Mountains, instead of snow, ice cream falls. Not the kind of joyous place that you might expect from somewhere where it snows ice cream. Instead, it is bland and flavorless, and it's just a vast expanse of this kind of fluffy white ice cream snow kind of hybrid. It's very, very cold. The winds kind of whip and rack up around you as you're walking towards, as I said, a thin line of smoke up on a huge mound of snow. The snow drifts up here in the frozen kind of northern tundras of the Big Rock Candy Mountains on occasion can pile up incredibly high. And from the description that you received in the adventuring request, this particular snowdrift is over 100 feet in height. And the woman that lives at this home needs you to bury out of your house. As you're walking closer, like I said again, towards this kind of little bit of smoke, you can see a hand sticking up and out of the snow, waving towards you. It appears to be green and scaled, with kind of claws at the end of it, waving you and beckoning you closer. You have arrived at your destination. We need to speak to this woman about perhaps getting her house shoveled out. So, as you arrive, you see kind of the hand beckoning you closer. What do you all do?
Does it look like a lizard folk hand?
Yeah, it appears to be. You know that lizard folk are very common. They're native to the Big Rock Candy Mountains in a lot of places. And here in winter, a lot of the times they kind of hibernate. They don't, not quite as active, but...
Alright, I go over to it.
Alright. Yeah, you can see as you get closer, there are a couple of holes dug in the snow. Both of them seem pretty deep. The one that the smoke is coming out of is a little bit over to the left of the one that the hand is sticking out of. But both of them, it appears to be just an incredibly long vertical shaft of snow. And the one on the left, it looks like at the very bottom of it, you can see the outline of a chimney, and standing up on, it looks like handholds have been dug into this like vertical tunnel that's been dug out of the snow, almost in the kind of the form of a ladder. And this lizard folk looks up at you. As you get over to the hole, you can just see them kind of looking up out of it, and they go, "Hello. Yes, very good. I'm so glad you've come. There's a lot that needs to be done."
Alright.
We're here to help.
Yes, very good. Thank you. Thank you so much. For starters, would you like to come down? This is the chimney. I have two chimneys. That one's lit. But if you'd like to just come down into my home, we can get you warmed up and get you some equipment.
You're not gonna eat us, right?
That would have been a waste of money to call very expensive and hard to kill people here to eat. I could have just gone out and found somebody to eat.
Alright. That's fair. Look, I'm from the railroad on the lizard folk there.
We mostly eat candy up here. I prefer Swedish fish. I occasionally will eat some peppermints. This isn't bad once you get used to it. And you see, she's fairly elderly. She kind of reaches out a hand, digs into the snow a bit, and just kind of bites down on some of the terribly bland, flavorless ice cream. They say if you believe in the cloud, you'll taste the flavor of it. I don't know if they're making that up. It just tastes bland to me.
Do you believe in the cloud?
I was kind of raised to believe in the cloud, but I don't know if I ever... You know, my family believes in the cloud.
Oh, well,
let's not talk about religion.
Perhaps you should try mixing something with it.
I taste it.
Do you believe in the cloud?
Yes.
It tastes very sweet.
This is good. I don't know what you're talking about. This ain't bland at all.
To each their own. She kind of begins climbing down. Like I said, it's like 100 feet vertical in the snow.
Well, I guess we climb.
All right. Does everyone follow?
I'll
Baron
follow
Applejack?
along.
Yes.
I'll follow.
Great. You move downwards eventually into what appears to be just a fairly pleasant home. You kind of use the handholds that she has carved into the snow and emerge through her fireplace. It's been pretty well cleaned out. There's still some soot and dust as you land. And inside of here, it's fairly warm. She has a fire and a dwindling supply of firewood. It looks like she's probably using a little bit more to keep it the home that she has here buried are warm while it's completely buried like this. All of the windows are just dark. No light is able to penetrate through the snow this deep. And you can see she has a really large barn door that seems to be her front door, and kind of stuck inside of it. Just on the other side, you can see a massive giant lizard, which kind of curls up and looks at you guys as you enter. She kind of goes over to it, pats it on the head a couple of times. It settles down. It looked like it was you heard the reptilian equivalent of a growl, just kind of a low. Was the sound it seemed to be making? As it looked like it was just gonna kind of snack on you as you came down, but she subdues it. This is Terry. Kind of goes over, pats him on the head a little bit. Terry needs to go outside. He's not really meant to be cooped up in here, but these doors, she points over the big barn doors, open outwards. So I'm going to need you to, well, basically, for more reasons even than that, I need you to dig us out. It's probably a couple days of work, but I'm sure that you are up to the task. Heroes, you're probably very strong and all that. I have some shovels here for you. And she goes over and grabs some shovels, hands one to each of you. I have picks for ice and things like that if you encountered as well, or any other tools. It's, normally I would do it myself, but I'm getting on in the years, and as I said, it's a lot of just hard grunt work labor. Very glad that Bartholomew hires you out for things like this.
Oh dear.
Is this what it's about? I never done a job like, well, I changed a light bulb last time, so maybe I did do work like this before.
Well, I would not say this is normally the work for adventurers, but I guess beggars can't be choosers.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure this lizard can only take out being cooped up for so long before bad things happen.
Absolutely. He's uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. I'd prefer to get this done, and I'll make sure I make you. Would you like some hot chocolate, or I can make you some cider? I think I can heat some up, or anything really. Tea.
I'll take tea, please.
This can easily be done. And anyone else? Can I get a drink or a beverage?
I have some cider.
A cider, one tea. How about the two of you?
I'll take anything that's spicy.
I'll have some hot water. I have some tea made from the crushed dried remains of my best friend.
Hot water.
Wow.
It kind of
How strange.
looks over at you, turns their head. We can.
Is it not good?
We can do hot water, certainly. New cider with some extra cinnamon, maybe. And goes about preparing, and these will be ready for you in just a bit if you want to get to work. Very big drifts this year. They always kind of pile up. The winds will blow the snow, and it'll kind of collect on itself. Some of the worst ones I've ever seen this year. It's terrible.
Noblesse is going to go over to the snow and just cast Reduce Flame on it.
All right, so you're going to climb back up and start kind of working your way down?
Yeah.
Okay. You go up and you cast Produce Flame, and it's not necessarily snow. Everyone gets used to calling it snow, but it's ice cream. So it doesn't just kind of like evaporate the way that you want it to. Where
It turns
It,
milky.
it melts. Either way, it melts.
yeah, it melts. It's kind of unpleasant, kind of
It's
clearing it
really
like this.
thick.
Yeah, it's very thick for melting snow, but it is it is definitely going to be an efficient way if you want to go about kind of clearing it this way. You will have to figure out.
This is how Noblesse Oblige will clear it
Yeah,
away.
that's your strategy. You just stick the shovel.
Forget the shovel. Let's just melt it.
What about everybody else?
Well, I
What's your
mean,
strategy?
shoveling is not great for me. If I had to rate my strength on a scale of 1 to 20, it'd be like an 8. So I'm gonna eat some ice cream.
You're just gonna try and eat your way down.
I'm gonna eat some of it.
Okay. All right. What about Tzi'jixk? What about Tzi'jixk and Vadania?
I feel that my only recourse is to try and cast Prestidigitation and maybe create a small fire, but I fear that I'm in the same boat as Greenie.
Fair enough.
I am not a very strong person.
What about you, Tzi'jixk?
I have very powerful legs, and so I'm gonna use them, and I'm gonna dig, and I'm gonna scoop, and I'm gonna do the best that I can for this poor old lady, and so maybe with my jumping ability I can use that. If I maybe hold on to something, I can just kick the snow out.
All right. Maddie, why don't you go ahead and make me an attack roll?
You want me to use powerful legs, or do you want me to
using
use athletics?
Using your powerful legs. Go ahead and make me an attack roll, because it seems like you're just using as much force as you can to just kick the snow out of the way. You do an attack roll. Dendari, I want you to make me an attack roll with produce flame, but with advantage, because this is, I think, a pretty effective way to go about it. Ooh! And as for Greenie and Vadania, Vadania, go ahead and make me, I'll say a spell casting ability check. So I think for you that would just be a rock charisma. And then for Greenie,
So I thought of something.
I don't think you're actually doing anything.
Well,
so
hold on. I thought of
just...
something here.
Okay.
Frogs, as part of their anatomy, they can't throw up, but they can eject their stomach and turn it inside out like a pocket. So in theory, I could eat ice cream, walk a bit away, and
make a Constitution check with. Make a Constitution check with disadvantage.
All right. Well, it's the same either way.
Sorry, mine was going to be a charisma check.
Yes, using your spellcasting ability, because you're using your prestidigitation for it, which isn't quite as effective as like the full just produce flame cantrip. But all right, yeah, you're still getting a pretty good run at it. So as you're all working, some time passes, drinks come up, and you begin just kind of digging out, and you've moved the entirety of the hill down. At this point, maybe like 15 feet. And you're getting there. You can tell that at this rate, I mean, it's still going to take a long time. You're probably going to have to spend the night here and work on it tomorrow. But
my stomach's starting to hurt.
Greenie, it's not efficient, and you are starting to feel a little bit. So we'll start with you. Your kind of section that you've been working on is the least cleared out, as this method is just woefully inefficient, and you're holding up, but you can tell if you continue this for too long, you're getting sick. Now, next up we have Noblesse. Noblesse, as you're produce flaming your way down, you're doing a great job of melting it, and at first you were like really far ahead, but then you found that you're just kind of like creating puddles of just kind of liquid ice cream, which is very unpleasant. So you're trying to like find ways to like sluice it off to different places, but it's just not working out. You're getting down there, but not actually quite as efficiently as Vadania, who has a little bit more flexibility, it would seem, I guess, with the prestidigitation, as creating some small fires, kind of moving things around a little bit, using the versatility of the cantrip to dig down, and all of you in total are you're working your way through melting it, but You see over Tzi'jixk, who's just good old-fashioned, just manual labor, using his incredibly powerful legs to just kick snow. It's just ice cream flying up and over your heads. You're all kind of looking in awe as he's like dug down pretty deep, pretty quickly. Like kind of his section that he's been working in is like a pretty fair bit larger and closer to the house level than any of you. And as this is happening, what are your passive perceptions?
11.
14.
10.
14.
14. And Greenie?
11.
11. Okay. So Vadania and Tzi'jixk. Tzi'jixk, you're kind of like kicking some of the snow up in the air, and as you kind of are watching it just fly upwards, Vadania, you notice it too. You look up and you see, you kind of notice that it's getting a little bit darker all of a sudden. The clouds above you, they've been pretty I mean, it's pretty thick. You're in the midst of a minor blizzard at the moment. It's snowing. It's not completely pitch black out, but the sky suddenly darkens, and as you look up at it, you can see pouring down on you what appears to be just a wall of snow that seems to be collapsing on this exact location. It is massive in its scope, and it looks too big to even run away from. And you see it just kind of like coming down on top of you, almost like a tidal wave of snow, or this kind of odd faux ice cream snow. Additionally, I would like you, Tzi'jixk, to make me a dexterity saving throw. Okay, Tzi'jixk, as you're kind of like kicking your way, down, and you make that last little kick that causes you to look upwards, you also feel your feet give out underneath you, and you begin to fall into what appears to be just kind of open space. And you fall not being able to quite catch yourself, and end up landing in a strange spot underneath you. And as you kind of fall, you take 1 point of bludgeoning damage as you collapse into what appears to be a carved-out tunnel below you. Those of you above, Vadania, you see this tidal wave of snow coming towards you. You also see Tzi'jixk fall down into the space. What do you all do? You're the first one to notice it.
And you said it's coming at us too fast to run away.
Not. You have some time to react, but just like the scope of it, it looks like it's going to cover like the entire hill area. And in thinking about it, like this hill that's been kind of built up, you were surprised at how much more snow there happened to be on this house. It's going to cover that entire space that you are currently trying to dig out.
Oh dear, I'm at a loss of what to do.
Do you say that out loud?
Yes.
Fair enough. So you just see Vadania just kind of like looking upwards at this like encroaching tidal wave, and Greenie and Noblesse, you just see Lady Vadania. I'm at a loss of what to do. Just looking up at this like impending destruction of your location. What do the collective view do? Also, Tzi'jixk, like I said, you're just in a tunnel. It's perfectly kind of it's very perfectly carved on the outside of it. The ground kind of perfectly flat, and it's cold.
How far down below the surface am I?
From where you started digging at the top, you are probably now about 30 feet downwards.
I'm gonna jump in the hole.
Noblesse will jump in the hole as well.
Okay, yeah. Are you gonna kind of like call out to them down there, Tzi'jixk?
Yes. Urging caution. Otherwise, you're gonna hurt your poor little tails like I did.
There's a giant tidal wave coming. A snow coming.
I don't have a tail.
I'll take my chances in the hole.
All right, you see a covered in melted ice cream, covered in melted ice cream Noblesse kind of jump down after. Looking down, because you kind of can see the hole and expect it, you can go ahead and make me. I'll say you can make either an athletics or acrobatics, since you're jumping down a little bit more consciously than Tzi'jixk did. Anyone who wants to do that. And obviously, you are completely fine, Greenie. You just jumped down.
Okay.
You just jumped down. Well, you have the jump feature, don't you?
No, I'm not a rabbit.
Oh.
Or a real grung.
What are you again? Just out of curiosity, just for
I'm a grung halfling.
Oh, okay, good. Never mind. Yeah, you make an athletics check. Oh, acrobatics and athletics. Yeah, both of you climb down without too much issue. And you can kind of see this this huge tidal wave of snow getting closer. It's kind of about to collapse down on you, Vadania. Do you follow as well? Okay. Vadania, as you go and kind of go to get down into the tunnel before the snow, you collapse. You just kind of collapse into it, and you feel some of the area that Tzi'jixk was tunneling out give way underneath you. And you suffer 3 points of bludgeoning damage as you fall into the tunnel, kind of landing, just kind of landing on your butt.
Oh dear.
Slipping on the melted ice cream.
Yeah, slipping on some of the melted ice cream left behind by Noblesse. And that tidal wave of snow collapses downwards into the tunnel that you're kind of now in. And it completely fills it up almost instantly. There is now, you guys all kind of like duck out of the way, but you are now kind of buried within this tunnel as the tidal wave collapses on top of you.
Oh no!
It is also now extremely dark in this
space. I can't see. Anyone have a light?
I have a torch.
No, Bless uses produce flame.
Okay, yeah, a torch alights. And the produce flame in the hand appears as suddenly the dim light of this, as I described before, very well-carved tunnel appears before you. In the distance.
Wow, this is a well-carved tunnel.
Yeah, it's very nice. You can see a couple of different like offshoots and stuff. Some of the offshoots seem small, no more than even like a foot in size, but this main kind of shaft through the snow here, it appears to be. It appears to be fairly.
I wonder what did this.
Well, whatever did this, we should consider ourselves lucky. I mean, it makes our job a bit easier now. I mean,
do you mean that storm that was just over us, or you mean this tunnel, or both? Oh, that's really scary.
I mean, this tunnel. I mean, it makes our job easier. Now we just have to reach the barn doors and. The lizard can just explore the tunnels, I guess.
That's true.
It is convenient.
I suppose we only have one way to go then, that's forward.
Or I guess you could also, because it seemed like you were saying also that you wanted to just like dig downwards through these tunnels. Is that what you're going to do, or are you going to just follow the tunnel?
But how deep are we?
Right now, from the original area, you were about 30 feet from where you started, but based on that tidal wave of snow, you don't know if that's now more or like it might be more than 30 feet up.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, how close are we to the barn doors, really?
About 70. If you had
God.
If you had to take a guess at it. Yeah, like I said, you had another full day of work to get down all the way.
Alright, so,
let's make camp for now and continue in the morning.
Let's take a long rest.
All right. Do you guys want to do that?
Yeah.
Is this the first time this has happened?
First time in DnDTime history.
No, we've had 3 or 4 days pass before when you guys were on the Monster Island. But yeah, if you guys want to take a long rest, you're welcome to.
I mean, we haven't used anything, so maybe we should look around in here first. I mean, that seemed all magical, that storm, so that was weird.
Well, we can't do much about the storm from down here now, can we?
Well, I mean, if whatever's down here might have caused it, because that storm didn't seem normal. It seemed normal. Maybe it was something trying to defend itself. Because we were digging into its tunnels.
Perhaps.
And as you guys are here having this conversation, you can hear what sounds like just some humming, drawing a little bit closer to you, down one of those like 1 by 1 foot tunnels that are kind of down on the lower parts of this larger main tunnel. And you can just hear kind of a voice that starts off quiet. And it's just kind of growing in volume. It seems, like I said, to be coming from one of those little small tunnels.
Who's there?
Hello?
Hello?
You see, right as you say hello, a very small figure walks out of this. They appear, they look almost like a gnome, but they appear to, instead of like the usual kind of middle of their body, they just look like they're made of a snowball with little like arms kind of coming out of it, and a little pointy hat. This
Your
gnome,
name Olaf?
the gnome, is that a thing? I don't know. The gnome kind of looks up at you and sees the four of you standing there. It seems to be holding a very tiny shovel, which it has kind of like slung over its shoulder. He sees the four of you, and you just hear him go, "Ah!" Drops the shovel and turns and runs around back down the little hole that he came out of.
Come on!
We're not gonna hurt you.
You just hear the voice kind of yell back, and as it's kind of fading into the distance, you just hear, "No!" And it kind of runs away. And as you're just there kind of confused, you see, you hear the sound of another one humming in a similar way, walking down from like a different tunnel. As you kind of spread out your senses, Tzi'jixk, you are able to detect what things. It is neither celestial fiend nor undead that this creature appears to be. But yeah, there's another one kind of coming out of another one of these tiny tunnels that's like 3 feet away.
Alright, we gotta catch one of those guys.
Excuse me, but
what do we
we're
have
stuck down here. Can you help us?
You, as you kind of call out in front of the tunnel, this one, you also just hear a small voice just kind of go, "Eh!" And you hear the sound of little feet running away from you down the tunnel.
Nah, no, we gotta catch one! We keep scaring them away!
Alright, let's hide, and then we'll see about catching them when they come in.
Well, if we follow them down the tunnels, we can eventually corner them, possibly.
The tunnels are so tiny, I think I'm the only one that might be able to fit. Maybe Tzi'jixk.
You could, like, get your head in.
I mean, I'm tiny. Or, well, small.
Yeah.
I am extremely tall.
Grainger apparently really light.
Well, does anybody here have any traps they can set up?
I have some rope and pittance.
I mean, we got snow. We can make a snowy pitfall trap.
And there's one that's getting kind of, there's one that's definitely getting close again, and you hear...
You don't even have to dig that deep of a hole.
Yeah,
Noblesse
the creature is about...
her fire to create a small pit hole.
Yeah, alright. So go ahead and make me a survival check to put together, or if you have another skill that you would argue to use for it, I would allow it. But how do you construct this little tiny pitfall? Just like a little space with snow, and then just trying to make another little snow...
Like, you know, like a hole, something that'll fall away, but that can hold snow, but not cause it to, like, fill the hole. You know, like a pit, like most pitfalls, I guess.
Yeah, no, I got you. Just what check? Survival check, I think, is the right one for this.
Can I help?
Yeah, for sure.
Yes,
you guys, both
I'm going
work
to
together.
hide.
All right, go ahead and make me a stealth check. Guys, make me a survival check with advantage. So you got an 11 for your stealth. 10. All right, so you put together this little trap in front of the tunnel where you think this one's going to emerge from, and Vadania. So are you like hiding like right on the outside of the tunnel into the main one, so you're like above it when it comes out?
Yes, I plan on grabbing it as soon as it comes out.
All right, yeah. So you're just on the other side of this tiny little tunnel, and it gets closer, and as it walks out, it goes and this little tiny thing steps onto the pitfall, and you see it kind of like bend a little bit under its weight, and then he kind of like looks down. He looks up. He looks up a little bit confused, and the same with the other ones. Drops the shovel, goes, eh. But then the pitfall kind of works, and it collapses down like the 1 foot into this pitfall, which is almost the perfect shape of this guy's body. You reach down to grab him. Go ahead and make me an athletics check to grab him. He's you have advantage right now because he's prone.
All right.
Or this was I think this is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vadania.
Vadania. All right. You go to grab onto this little guy, and as you as you go to get him, all of a sudden, his skin, it becomes really slippery, oddly so. As the outer kind of part of his body that was snow, it just kind of like turns into this like kind of slick ice. Your hands go to like jiggle around and move on him, and it's kind of like hard to grasp onto him. He is going to make his acrobatics check to escape, also with advantage, as he is very good at this.
Very tricksy little thing.
Boop, boop, boop. Oh, that's... Well, you got another... Just do another roll. 22. Oh, but you still barely managed to hang on to him with your incredible roll, and you feel yourself kind of lose grasp, and it kind of goes to escape out of your hands. You just, no! And he's just kind of like bumbling around, but finally you get a kind of a firm hold on him. And he's just kind of now squirming in your hand, trying to get out. What do you guys do?
Oh, hey, calm down. We're all friends here.
We won't hurt you.
We just got some questions.
Please talk to us. We have so many questions.
No?
Yeah. Wow.
He says questioningly.
Wow.
Can't secrets.
What secrets?
He doesn't have to tell us his secrets. We just need to know the way out.
You tell me your secrets right now. I get really
Go ahead and make an intimidation check.
Oh my.
Oh, oof.
He goes,
since you can't tell us your secrets, can you at least help us dig out this lady's barn, so that way her lizard can get out and do his business?
And he just yells out, "I'll die for the crystals!" And his body melts.
Oh god!
And it's just a little hat that's left on the ground. That's just left in your hands.
I picked that up and put that on.
Oh dear, did you...
A very tiny hat.
Did you scare the thing to death?
Very possible.
Oh my.
And another thing, another one of these little guys kind of runs out of a hole and sees you wearing this hat, and he just looks at you and he just goes, "Ah!"
Hi, I'm one of you, and I grew to this size and turned green.
He yells "murderer" at you, and then starts running down. He starts kind of running down to the main corridor, and he just yells, I have to warn the prince! And he starts running off down the main corridor.
You get back here in the name of the crystal, I run after it.
Alright, make a dexterity saving throw.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
As you're running after him, you see, just like he was really slippery to hold on to you, like in his wake behind him, he seems to leave just like this trail of a perfect sheet of ice that's just like a little bit slick, and the second you step on it, just like Home Alone, you just...
Well, wait a minute. That's not accurate.
Oh?
I have halfling luck and it didn't roll it.
Oh, you are about to slip, and you slip so much that you do a complete flip as your halfling luck kicks in, and you continue to chase after him. He's moving at a pretty good clip, but you're able to catch up to him because he's perhaps just a touch slower than you. So go ahead and make me an athletics check to go and grab onto him. I assume that's what you're trying to. I assume that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sir. Yeah, he's too slippery and moves out of your grasp. And as more of these things are all just kind of going about their days, a lot of them, their shovels are filled with snow. And as they see you chasing after this one, all of them kind of just seem to like get the sense of what's going on and join this one and start like also running down the corridor away from you guys, collecting almost like a critical mass of these tiny little snow spirits that are running away from you guys. What are the rest of you doing?
I'm gonna try and catch one of the snow spirits that's running from us.
All right, yeah. You can just like, are you gonna try and go with Greenie, who's at the front, who's with the pile, or are you just gonna like try and grab a fresh one out of one of the holes?
Grab a fresh one.
All right, go ahead and make me an acrobatics check. Actually, make me a stealth check for starters.
All right.
Should we try to talk to them?
All right, you're not particularly stealthy, so you don't have the element of surprise. But go ahead and make me an athletics check.
Athletics check.
Yep. Yeah. What do you say to them? You see at the moment, Greenie is just kind of shot off down the corridor, and now there's like 6 or 7 of these things that are like running away from him down the corridor. What is Tzi'jixk doing all this time?
I've been watching how these things are acting, and in my own way, I can relate as a creature, that lives in burrows and is rather fearful myself. I think that I've been able to get some kind of a resonance with them. And while it may be scary, I would like to wait outside one of these little holes or these side areas. Unless as a 3-foot tall bun that I can somehow like squeeze into one of these to follow him.
You could probably get your head in, but these are designed for tiny creatures, and you're, I think, like I said, a size category too big.
Then what I would like to do is I will pretend to I'll be still. I'll pretend to be asleep outside one of the holes and see if one of them walks past and what they would do if they were to find someone who is apparently unconscious. Do they see me as a threat? Do they even see me? That kind of a thing.
Okay. So yeah,
kind of a play dead sort of a thing.
Go ahead and make me a performance check.
Performance or deception?
I would probably say this is more in the category of performance.
Sure.
9. All right. So as you hop out, this little guy will make a wisdom check. As you kind of hop out, this one looks up and it immediately just kind of goes, ah! And drops the shovel, but then stops for a moment, looks confused, picks the shovel back up, and kind of walks over to your head, and is now just kind of like examining it. You feel a couple of very light pokes about your forehead, as it's kind of looking at you curiously and confused as to what this strange dead thing is in its tunnel.
Okay. Is it going to... It's just poking and examining right now, yeah?
Right now it's just kind of checking you out. Confused.
Okay. I will hold my resolve until... I don't know if it starts like leaving or if it wants to sort of bury me in snow or something, then I'll act. But right now I just want to gather a little bit more information about these things' behavior, since I know what it's like to live in a similar situation.
All right. And as time's kind of passing, Greenie, you're just booking it afterwards. You're just like a snowball rolling down a hill. In front of you now at this point, as you're chasing down the corridor, you occasionally get your hands on one for a moment, but each time you kind of like get a firm grip on one, they just get scared and melt. And now there's like you're about like 16 deep of these things, all just kind of sprinting, leaving this like slippery ice in front of you. at one point you kind of stepped into it and you saw one of them just kind of like that you were stepping right near. Your feet keep like it'll just like freeze all of a sudden while you're stepping on it and you'll get stuck a little bit. Like chasing these things is an absolute slog.
Stop killing yourselves!
So I want you to make me an athletics check for the overall success of your chase and how well you were able to kind of keep up and follow them. Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, it's not a crazy high DC. So as you're following them, you manage to keep pace as you're running down this corridor into what appears to be a different open area where you see a different type of figure, and you see them all kind of. You see a bunch of them kind of calling out, "Overseer, Overseer, Overseer!" And you see a small fairy, what appears to be a sprite. Kind of flying around into one of the corridors, and it seems to be in a very large, just a huge, like, open space that's been tunneled out of the snow here, where this fairy is humming, and in here you can see what appears to be hundreds and hundreds of these tiny little snow spirits moving around, like excavating snow, throwing it into big piles, working in what looks like almost looks like a mine shaft where what they're mining is snow. And as you kind of reach this point, back at the beginning, you can kind of hear up ahead the huge pile of them that have gotten together, because the sounds of all of their various runs and murderers being directed at Greenie back where the rest of you are can be heard. And at that point, Vadania and Noblesse, what are the two of you doing at this point? Did you follow in the pursuit, or are you guys back kind of a little bit farther away from, a little bit farther down from where Tzi'jixk is? Because I think Tzi'jixk is like right at the start.
Noblesse follows, but
well, I don't know.
She's not going to try and catch any of them at this point, because it's clear that they're going to melt if they kill themselves if they get captured. So.
Okay.
I obviously don't fit through any of these tunnels.
Yeah, just the main one. If you want to go down the main one, you can, but that's where Greenie's going.
I'll go there.
All right. If you want to follow and be right in pace with Greenie, then you can make an athletics check, or you can move at half speed and avoid all of their like freezing and like kind of slippery ice, and just kind of walk over it normally if you want.
I'll move slowly. I'm in no rush.
Yeah, you just kind of walk, just the air of confidence as you move down the hallway. And as you're kind of merging, you're a bit farther back from Greenie, but you can see one of the Fae folk before you. You see a small fairy kind of fluttering in the air. At where you are, at where you are at Tzi'jixk, or actually, what are you doing, Noblesse? Are you also chasing after, or are you walking kind of alongside?
I'm walking.
All right, cool. And Tzi'jixk, at this point, 6 of these things have gathered up around you, and you can kind of hear them speaking to themselves, and some of them are kind of like moving themselves in positions around you, but it looks like they're getting ready to like pick you up and carry you somewhere else.
I will then continue to play dead.
All right. As you're just there waiting, you can hear just conversation and low mumbles, and eventually you just hear 1, 2, 3, hop, as you feel a ton of tiny little arms under your body, and you just start moving. You just start moving down the corridor. As you're just kind of like taking a quick look, you can see behind you where the tunnel caved in and the snow collapsed into that space. It's being kind of very quickly cleaned out by like 6 or 7 of these snow sprites that are taking shovels, and expertly and very efficiently. It looks like the shovels barely even touch the snow. It just kind of flies and crashes into the walls in various places, and like the tunnel is reformed in about, 20 seconds. That probably would have taken you a solid, 5 minutes to dig out. Yeah, you're slowly being carried down the tunnel. But Greenie, you move forward. You see the sprite kind of fluttering in front of you as they're kind of yelling Overseer at it, and the Overseer just kind of points at you.
How?
What do you mean?
Hmm?
What do you mean? Oh, you said hi. You said hi. I thought you said how.
I said how.
I think
How?
how could he possibly have pointed at me? I was like, huh?
He doesn't have an arm.
Just say yes, improv. With his lack of arms, he looks over and says, "You fools, take down the thief!" And
Whoa! Hey, let's calm down.
and all of the tiny snow sprites drop their shovels. They look at you, and once again they go, "Ah!" And then all jump and go to swarm at you. I'd like you to roll for initiative.
Are we all rolling initiative?
Yeah, I think everyone at this point can roll initiative. Oh wow, they rolled really well. Their dex is their strong suit. All right. In that case, as all of these things kind of turn and look at you all of a sudden, Greenie, they just all start running at you. Right now, there are about 16 of these things here. You see 8 of them kind of fly over and go at you. The rest of them begin running down the tunnel at you who are approaching a little bit closer. So we're gonna roll 8 attacks against you. What's your armor class?
18.
All right, 3 of those are going to hit you. Each one deals 1 damage. As they all jump at you, they reach onto you, and then their bodies kind of like freeze and like stick onto you. So they're like all just like weighing you down and like grappling you, but they're so light, like it doesn't really matter that they're grappling for your movement. And a couple of them just are punching with their tiny little snow fists at your body and like kind of chinks in your armor where they can find it as you take 3 points of bludgeoning damage. It's like being swarmed by really annoying pillows almost.
Oh, stop! Get off!
And that's all for their turn. The rest of them are running down the corridor towards you guys. That would be Vadania and Noblesse. And also, Maddie, you're the next in initiative, but you're not quite aware this is happening as you're still being kind of carried down the corridor. You will be there in about a round.
That's fine. I'm paying attention in my quote-unquote unconscious form, and, when I act, I act.
Yep. But yeah, you can hear. I'll say you can hear some commotion coming up from up ahead. I don't know if that would affect your decisions at all, or would you just let yourself be carried?
No.
Okay. In that case, moving on initiative, we have Greenie. You're covered in tiny little guys.
Get off of me! I will use my channel divinity. Conquering presence.
Oh no. They're gonna make wisdom saving throws?
Yep.
How many of them? Oh wait, that's all of them. That's all 15 of them. What's your DC?
12.
12. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of them survive. And we'll just say, because it's for the sake of clarity, since there were 7 running down the corridor and 8 on you, the 8 on you all fail, and as you use your conquering presence, you just hear all of them make their same kind of terrified shriek of "ah!" and they all just melt in a big pile of hats, falls down beside and around you. The kind of sprite that's fluttering in the hallway ahead just kind of looks at the snow creatures and just idiots.
Alright, well, I'm free.
Alright, what do you want to do? You got move still? Bonus action?
Yeah, I'll walk over toward the sprite.
Alright, you move up in the sprite's range.
Call out the little bastard soldiers!
The sprite is kind of pulling out a bow, levying it down towards you.
Hey!
Tiny little ice bow. That's gonna bring us.
Several.
That's gonna bring us now to. That's gonna bring us to Noblesse. What do you want to do?
I want to try and persuade the ice sprite to not bite us.
They're more punching, but yes, absolutely. Go ahead and make a persuasion check.
The one that's in charge, specifically.
The sprite. Okay, so you're gonna there's the sprite up ahead, but then there's the snow spirits that are charging at you down the hallway because you were a little bit behind Greenie. So are you gonna try and like run past all the snow spirits and get up to the sprite?
Yeah.
All right. You're gonna take 7 opportunity attacks as you go by, as the snow spirits are trying to beat you up.
Okay.
What's your armor class?
18.
One of them hits, you take 1 point of bludgeoning damage, and there's one of these snow sprites as you just kind of barrel over them. So, like, you're just, like, kind of almost crushing them beneath your feet, and one of them kind of gets stuck to your ankle, and you feel just the lightest of bludgeons.
It's just trying to...
It's a war of attrition,
Yeah.
All right,
like,
so
biting my ankle.
You run up and go and speak to the, you go up and run up and speak to the sprite. What do you say to the sprite?
Excuse me, but we are not invaders. We are merely trying to dig out a woman's barn so that way her lizard can go out and do lizardy things. They've been trapped for days.
Go ahead and make a persuasion check.
Alright.
He just looks at you, as if I would believe that you're here to steal our crystals! Kind of levies the bow even more.
We
so
don't
at
even know about your crystals!
What crystals?
That's going to bring us next in initiative to Vadania. What do you want to do, Vadania? Whole bunch of snow spirits coming down after you.
Well, it seems like persuasion is having a little effect right now. As much as I would like to persuade these things from actually taking some hostile actions,
You can try.
I need to defend myself.
All right.
I definitely
what do you do?
Please, overseer. We'd mean you no harm.
All right. Go ahead and make me a persuasion check. I'll see how your turn is. 15. All right.
You do better than Noblesse.
All right. And now at this point, the overseer just kind of looks a little bit confused. The bow is still pointed at you, but you see like the tenseness in his muscles relax a little bit, and he just calls out. He just kind of calls out, and it passes now to his turn. You run past the snow spirits, the ones that were attacking. The ones that were attacking have already used their reaction to attack, so they can't make opportunity attacks at you, as your ally bears the brunt of that. Yeah, so you move up and you say this to him, and like I said, he relaxes a little bit, and he kind of yells back, and he calls out, "My prince! I believe we have... maybe thieves! Maybe thieves?" And he looks down, and he still has his bow trained, and he just goes, "Don't move 1 inch, though!" And is kind of pointing it at you with anger. The snow sprites, as it passes to their turn, they don't know nothing. They're gonna run back, and they're still, with their fearsome battle cry of, "Ah!" Are gonna run after and just kind of swarm. 3 of them are gonna go after you. 3 of them are gonna go after you, Vadania, and 4 of them after you, Noblesse. That's a 17 to hit against you, Vadania, or an 18 rather.
Yes, that hits.
That's 1 bludgeoning damage, and against you, Noblesse. Do any of those hit? What was the armor class again?
18, and none of them.
Yeah,
None hit.
they're all stuck to you, but none of them hit. Likewise,
Their teeth are not as strong as the ankle biter.
And yeah, so you guys are in now just this standoff, and all you have are these tiny little things beating you up. And at this point, as we move now to, I believe it would be your turn. It would be your turn, Tzi'jixk. You're being carried in by just 8 of these tiny little sprites. Hop, 2, 3, 4. Hop, 2, 3, 4. And one of them kind of calls out, "Overseer, we found a dead bunny."
Oh my god, they killed Tzi'jixk!
I will continue to play along with this. I'm keeping my, well, if I can be discreet with my eyes, but definitely my ears open, as I'm observing this this whole time here.
And well, as they're walking down the corridor, they see what's happening up ahead, and all of them just all of a sudden kind of shout out, "Ah! Battle!" They drop you, and they begin also hopping to get into the swarm, getting into the swarm, but they have too much time. Do you want to like follow after they let you go?
Yeah, if I can, I'll I don't know how lit it is in here, but I'll do my best to stealth behind.
The space that you're moving into is actually you can see a bright light kind of coming in from the opening up ahead. But where you are, it's still kind of shadowy. So if you want to go ahead and make a stealth check, you can see your allies kind of congregating up ahead. Go ahead and make me a stealth check. 12? Alright, yeah, you're tucking to the walls, kind of pushing yourself into the snow a little bit to almost be like flush with them at points. You're reasonably well hidden. It's not great, but... and you at the front, Vadania, you're kind of watching. Greenie, what do you do, actually? It's, I believe, your turn.
I mean, I don't know, I'll throw a dagger at one of the little guys that are harassing my allies. Yeah.
Go ahead and roll damage on that. If you couldn't have guessed, these things have a single hit point. As you throw a dagger at it, it just explodes into melted water.
And I look at the overseer, I'm like, call them off, or we're just gonna kill them all.
And he kind of looks at them. He pauses for a moment. All right, stop. And the little creatures all just kind of instantly hop off your arms and just run down and begin just running into the larger open corridor. You see them kind of go and pick up shovels that are just kind of there and waiting, and just kind of go back to work. And he goes... and at this point, I'd say initiative has kind of died down. The little sprite looks at you. So, you claim that you are not here for the crystals.
What crystals?
And that you know... What do you mean, what crystals?
I don't know what crystals you're talking
If we
about.
wanted crystals, we'd buy them from Bartholomew.
Well, okay, that guy is, he rips people off, so maybe not, but what crystals?
The snow crystals, the ice cream crystals that only crystallize here in the snow drifts of the Big Rock Candy Mountains at this particular time of year and in the height of winter. They're incredibly valuable and rare. You know not of these things.
We don't need those.
Yeah, what's the point?
Then
we just came here to dig out a lady's house. I mean, so that way her pet lizard can leave.
That's really all we're here for.
Yes.
Oh. And at this point, you see fluttering over, and another one of these kind of creatures. This appears to be a pixie, which the sprite kind of kneels down. Their wings are still fluttering as they stay in the air, but they go into kind of a kneeling pose, and they just, "My prince," and this pixie kind of long golden hair going down their back, their kind of bright greenish skin. They look over at the group of you.
I give a curtsy.
They, in return, just kind of nod. The barest kind of suggestion of a bow towards you, and says, "What is going on here, Overseer? Explain to me, who are these people before me? You said they are thieves trying to steal our crystals." The Overseer kind of looks and kind of explains some of the things you already said. "So you're not here to steal the crystals?
No.
So then, be gone with you." And as you're kind of watching this happen, you see where all of that snow has been collecting, like I said, it looked like those little snow sprites are collecting snow. The kind of space that you're in, it looks like a huge vertical open shaft. And at the center of it, there's a huge pile of snow. And you see these tiny little snow spirits. They start kind of gathering in the middle of it, where they've been snacking all of this snow into this huge pile. And you just hear all of it at once. They all kind of call out, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they all kind of lift their hands up in the air, and a huge pile of snow flies up and out of this space and away, presumably in the direction you came from. The overseer and the prince pay it no mind as it happens. It just seems to be the routine here as part of their workflow.
Well, that explains some things. Look, we can't just leave.
Yes.
And why is that?
I think your snow is bearing a kind old lady's house. If you do not pick another direction to fling the snow, we will have to take action.
Well, okay, hold on. Let's calm down. I mean, really, we could just have their little snow dudes dig her a way out. That leads through the tunnels. We need a way out.
We would need a way out, and our friend would need to be unburied.
The prince looks at you. You're not here to steal our valuable crystals.
No.
Of course not, Your Highness.
What makes them valuable?
Value is in the eye of those who desire it.
Are they, like, pretty? Do you eat them? Are they, like, sprinkles?
He looks at you
Greenie.
he looks at you kind of suspiciously, and he
Look,
kind of,
I'm just curious.
and he kind of produces from his pocket what appears to be just a very small and beautiful crystal. It kind of shines. It shines with a brilliant light that's kind of catched from some of the kind of light seeping down from the opening above, and he kind of says, "What makes these particular crystals so valuable is their, well," he just kind of breaks off a tiny little piece of one and hands it to you, and he says, "Ingest it."
Okay, I eat it.
And it's like capsaicin for sugar. It's just it's just overwhelmingly sweet. You're like, you get dizzy with the sweetness of the sugar.
God, my teeth just rotted out of my head.
There's a lot one can do with that degree of sweetness, and we'd like to keep it to ourselves. And so,
what could you use this for?
it just needs to be processed, and
It's
used
like I
in-
got a brain freeze from sweetness.
quite a few candy weapons are forged from it as well.
It's possible the Chefromancer might be able to use this.
Chefromancy is a dark and powerful art. I'm sure they have done some interesting things with these crystals. But no matter. So what you're saying is you're not here to steal anything. You want us to dig out a small patch of snow and to throw snow somewhere else. And you'll
Yeah.
That is correct. That is all we
Exactly.
This is incredibly trivial. And he just kind of
require. If it is
snaps
so
his...
so
I was gonna say, he just snaps his fingers, and you see a whole bunch of these snow sprites all look at him, just kind of focusing on his location, and then all of them just start sprinting in a horde, flowing around your feet like flooding water, as they move back down the corridor where you're from, all of them with their shovels, and they're just like jumping up, pulling snow off of the walls in places, and digging out a huge opening, and you watch as this swarm of snow spirits, in what is a pretty impressive and almost beautiful display with the efficiency of their work, just destroy all of the snow in this region, and in a matter of maybe 10 minutes, you see the house completely unburied and cleared out before you, as the snow just kind of rains gently, leaving a light dusting, a beautiful winter scene of this cottage. As this happens and the light floods through, you see the big kind of barn doors open. The giant lizard kind of bounds out, begins kind of stretching around, immediately goes and devours some of the snow sprites, and you see the lizard folk kind of The lizard folk elderly woman kind of walks out with a few mugs of what looks like another round of steaming cocoa and cider and miscellaneous beverages and kind of waves forward. But it looks like you have all completed your adventure.
Alright, well, I pick up the other 8 tiny hats.
You pick up your 8 tiny snow sprite hats. Anyone who wants a snow sprite hat is welcome to get them. Many more sprites were lost to the lizard folk and others. And
Before we
Yeah,
leave,
Noblesse-
I look to
what-
the prince.
Noblesse
and
is going to
give
pick
him a
up
bow.
whatever's left to bring to the Bartholomew.
And the prince kind of looks at you and just says, "You look familiar. Have we met before?"
I'm Lady Vadania Melianme. You might know my husband.
And you see his eyes kind of widen with recognition, and he kind of turns to you and... "My apologies for my lack of grace, my lady." And he offers now a respectful bow to you as well. One of the bearing of equals. And please give my regards to your husband.
Of course.
And yeah, the elderly lizard folk kind of walks back, gives you some drinks, and says, "You've all done a wonderful job. This was a lot faster than I expected. What were those tiny little snow circles?"
I
They
created
were
them.
sprites.
That I created.
It's
No, you
impressive.
didn't.
It's impressive magic. I didn't
want
believe
to
it.
know that we didn't make them, or we might not get paid.
I'm going to pay you. You did a lot of work, even if I don't think they... Did you tell them to come here?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Okay, well that's good enough. And she hands each of you 100 Bartholomew bucks and says, "I'm not paying them, so if they ask for wages, that comes out of yours." One of the tiny snow spirits looks up at you and goes, "I want $1."
I smash him.
And he is destroyed. And with that, each of you gains 100 Bartholomew bucks. Each of you gains 1 point of experience, and you have succeeded in your adventure. Which also means if you were level 1, you are now level 2. And thank you all very much for playing. It was a fun one.